Thanks for coming on, man.
For sure. You got a cool room.
Yeah, it's the office. It's the headquarters.
Nice, man. What's going on in that, the American, the map of America? Are those coins?
No, it's got like dirt from every baseball stadium.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Where you at? You at the crib?
No, I'm at the shore, man. We
Nice.
split and went down to Jersey just to get out of the city for a little bit. So it's quiet down here. We're in Brigantine.
You guys gonna record another EP down there?
You know what I mean? Yeah, possibly.
So what is quarantining been like for you in Philadelphia and now on vacation?
It's been pretty good, mainly because the album and releasing music can keep you pretty busy and just like occupied and distracted and thinking about stuff. So that's been pretty good, keeping my mind off of the reality of the situation. And then, my lifestyle is pretty mellow as is. So just like reading. My girlfriend's been pretty into Animal Crossing, and so I've been like,
I saw some of that. Is that a computer game or something?
Yeah, it's on the Switch. I think it's been around for a while. My gaming is pretty limited. I mean, people obviously take that world pretty seriously, and so for me, it's really hard to be hyper focused on something like that for hours on end. But the Animal Crossing is like light and distracting, and that's been fun to play. But yeah, man, just kind of reading and trying to stay creative for the most part. Nothing too crazy. How about yourself?
We've been doing puzzles like crazy, jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we get heavy into puzzles in the winter, and obviously being on the East Coast and having this whole lockdown, it's like I feel pretty fortunate that we're on the East Coast and we had a winter, and this happened kind of coming out of winter. So we were all kind of hunkered down as it was. It's a little bit tougher now that the weather's starting to get warmer, and you're kind of seeing it around the country with like, people in New York and different spots just wanting to get outside. It's kind of natural, but for the most part, the fact that it was winter coming out of it, I was already pretty much relaxed and hanging out at home anyway.
Yeah, my parents are still in New York, and they're on like a much bigger lockdown than we are here in Virginia.
Right.
So, do you think you released an album smack dab in the middle of the quarantine? Do you think it helped because people have more time to maybe listen to it, or do you think it hurt a little bit because I don't know?
I think it was funny because I was having a conversation with It's The Real, and they asked me, ideally, how would your rollout go? And I was like, well, ideally there would be a pandemic that hits America and everybody has to stay at home. So, for me, it's nice to have a captive audience, literally. And to, again, there's not much out right now. So there wasn't much to compete with, which is great, when it comes to that. But at the same time, it's like, being a self-release, being independent and kind of DIY with it, you still aren't as plugged in as you would like to be. So it's still kind of an uphill battle to get on platforms that would help me expand my audience. But for the most part, this was a project for the core audience and continue to build that foundation. So I think for the core audience and the response that it received and them having time to take it in, because for the most part, the new album, Flowers on the Weekend, is like a sit at home and chill.
Yeah.
Listen, and so I think the timing was good. Circumstances, obviously they are what they are. But music's obviously extremely subjective. So hopefully when people heard it and they're mellowing out and still hearing it, I hopefully it's hitting them at the right time.
Now it came out end of April, a few weeks removed. Do you think, how do you feel performance-wise? Do you think it's done well? Do you think the reaction's been solid?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because like where I'm at in my life, I think, looking for praise and acceptance and, people saying, hey, good job and stuff is a little bit conflicting to like my energy is where I'm at. But when you're self-releasing an album and it is DIY, you have to stay on it, and you have to self-promote and all that jazz. So that's been a little bit conflicting to me, just as far as like where I'm at. Feels a little uncomfortable. I think it's always been that way, though. I think people who have been following me have known that I'm not the best self-promoter, even though it's part of the game. So with that being said, overall, the response has been positive. It's been really nice. And I think, it's tough in this atmosphere because, 2 weeks, the album came out about 2 weeks ago, and now it feels like it's already old, right?
That's like,
which is like
nowadays, is how it goes.
So it's tough. So, you know, I just need to stay focused and continue to chip away while also like starting to cultivate new visions and places where I want to take it. But I think the flowers on the weekend, the flowers, the CBD pre-rolls that we were able to come up with.
Yeah, it was a good rollout.
Really cool, really clean rollout. So I'm like, you know, again, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the people involved in the team. It was a very concentrated group of people that were able to help pull this out. So now we're on the back end of that presentation and trying to find ways to, again, reach more eyeballs, try to find ways to keep people engaged. And it's not easy. I mean, you're competing against all types of different entertainment and stimulus, and you know, the attention spans are short. So we'll see. But overall, man, I'm happy.
So, well, on the day that the album finally drops, you're leading up to it. You're leading up to it. Is it just like throw it out there and then like sit and watch all day, or how is it compared to the other releases that you've done?
It's funny, man. That's a great question. I think every release is different. You know, I for the most part remember everything where I was. This release, I was at my parents' house.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't mean to be there, but I hung out a little bit longer and just decided, hey, you know what? I'll release this while I'm home, because the album has so much to do with being home. You know, it has so much to getting back to that. So I released it at my parents' house, and you know, my parents were both really into it. My dad came down and said he felt like it was, you know, my most complete work to date. He's probably my biggest critic, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean, what I've realized, and you know, what I've vocalized a few times, is that releases for me nowadays, and not for everybody, are much like sailboats. It's like taking this like paper sailboat into like a little lake or a pond, and you put your little sailboat in there, and then you kind of push it off and you just watch it slowly go.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a lot of people think these take off like spaceships. And so it's not true. It's not a rocket ship at all, man. It's very much a sailboat. And so again, being patient with myself and being patient with the process, still being into small victories. But it's tough because, you know, my first release was a major label release, and you see the difference in kind of speed and, you know, whether the interest is real or not, you're a little bit more in demand. And so it's hard not to compare the two. It's hard not to compare all different releases. So this one's been a little bit more quiet, but I feel like, it's actually the response, my numbers, it's all honest. Whereas before, it can get really convoluted into just numbers just being numbers. They might be extremely inflated, and you might not even know who's really listening. So overall, a very genuine, honest release, pretty reflective of the music in and of itself. So, you know, yeah, it's been a cool one.
And compared to like the big label release, with this one, it's all you. Like with a big studio album, it's got like a bunch of hands in the pot, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, what do you want out of it? And for me, it's tough because like it's conflicting, because I never wanted to just be some horse in someone's stable, you know, and just like I've always wanted to be really hands-on, and I've always wanted to be, you know, there at the beginning and there at the end as well, and really help shape the intentions behind it, and not just make money. But you also, you know, you want to contribute, and you want to be influential, and you want to be, you know, you want to impress, you know, and what I mean by impress is like, I guess like impressions that they use on social media. Like what that word actually means, when something like it has an impression on you, it has a lasting effect, you know, and those are things that I try to convey and want to do. You know, that might be more from an ego standpoint or more from a competitive standpoint. So again, that's what I mean about conflicting energies, is like sometimes I just want to like release music and not pay attention about how it's being received, and just say, here's my offering. It'll be what it is. But then at the same time, you kind of, you want it to take off, and you want it to be quote unquote successful, and you want to be on all the playlists, and you want somebody to come through and say, hey man, here's $1 trillion. Like, you're killing it. So it's tough. So yeah, but with the DIY stuff and kind of having more control over the pace, and the pace being more natural, I think it is more rewarding ultimately, because it's real. But at the same time, it's you know, with all of our influences going on in the world right now, and like with social media, And, you know, some of these numbers that you're seeing on YouTube and stuff, I mean, you want it to take off immediately. So, yeah, again, preaching patience to myself and the people around, and just kind of trying to chip away day by day.
So I followed your career from the beginning, and plenty of people have, and you've evolved, you know, from I Love College since. How does it feel to still get painted with the frat rap brush that like Pitchfork did in their review?
It's easy. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I totally get it. And, you know, when you're dealing with entertainment and you're dealing with concepts and categories and the way people make sense of things, it's only natural. So, you know, I have my work cut out for me to introduce a whole spectrum of a human being, you know, and I'm very grateful for the people who are interested in the entire spectrum of a human being, and not just like kind of the categories of. So, yeah, again, I don't feel any type of way. I think it can be frustrating when you're trying to convey different things. I think you see it in movies a lot too. People who have had successful roles in movies as a specific typecast, you can see their desire to do different roles, you know?
Yeah.
And some people say, screw it, I'm just going to do the same role over and over again and get my bread and get out. And others don't. And, you know, for me, I think it's so interesting from a music standpoint, because specifically the I Love College record was not just like a successful song, but it was a character, you know,
Yeah.
it was almost like playing introducing a character and a type of person. So a challenge for sure. Nothing that, you know, that freaks me out, but at the same respect, you know, I think that's a great audience to be able to talk to. So, I get it. At the end of the day, I get it.
Tell me about the process that you went through to get Lil Yachty on Way More Fun.
Oh man, power of social media for sure. I remember, I don't know, it's on Twitter. I mean, you could see the date. I'm not sure what the date was, but I was like, I heard that record. The first
Cat Piss?
person I heard on it was like, man, Yachty needs to be on this. And I tweeted out, I need Yachty for this record. And then, you know, a couple of days later, I remember when I received, I was overseas and I received a response to let's go. And so, you know, Yachty again, man, he was just like really clean about it all. He was just very much like, you know, send his stuff back real quickly. And, you know, and it was awesome, man. So yeah, power of social media, being able to reach out and tag somebody and say, hey man, and I guess maybe a blue check helps, you know, helps push that to the top. But yeah, for the most part, we have access, and if people are on social media, they're checking their responses. So,
well, he definitely knows you too. Like, he's name dropped you multiple times. So
yeah, I mean, you know, and coming up from Atlanta, I mean, obviously he's younger than I am. So Atlanta's not enormous, you know, people float around in similar circles. So, it was dope. And I think, again, from a tonality standpoint, he was the only person I could hear on that record. So if he wouldn't jump on it, I don't know what I would have done. I would just been like, if this is not perfect for Yachty, then I don't know what is. But it turned out to be really fun. We're working on a music video right now that hopefully
awesome.
lends itself to something a little bit larger.
I got a couple of reader questions to you. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
When did Rob present you with a bunch of beats that he played for you and you would pick, or did you come in with an idea that?
Yeah, no, it was all started from scratch. And so I think the one beat that kind of presented to me was Back of the Class, because
I love that song. And
they're mainly just, there's mainly just drums. And he was always like, man, this song's too posy. It's too posy. But like, you know, I told him, I was like, man, there's a part of my audience that really is into that. But for the most part, we would build around, you know, melodies and lyrics, and a lot of it was built from scratch. So it wasn't the typical kind of rapper sits and picks out beats. It wasn't like that at all, which is why I think the music comes across real organic and real.
Early on, you were compared to Mac Miller. Did you ever get the chance to meet him before he passed away?
Yeah. Mac and I had crossed paths before. Probably our most infamous was in Norway, doing front flips off of the stage at a Steve Aoki show. And yeah, I mean, inspiration to me just as far as just drive and getting better every day. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, he definitely evolves over his career for sure.
Yeah, very important. I mean, a very important artist and legacy And I think that he's influenced and again, made an impression upon a lot of people.
This is a good one because I was curious about this too. How did the Started from the Bottom remix with Mike Posner come together?
He just hit us up. I was with Chuck in LA. We were hanging. And Posner and I've known Posner before he even broke. I mean, he came over and met us in Atlanta. He was taking some meetings in Atlanta. So he was still at Duke at the time. Came over. We spent a Halloween together. He was a muff diver. It was pretty legendary. But we've always been really friendly. And, you know, he was doing something. And, you know, he's always up to something. And he just hit us up. I think Chuck and I, or we were together, and we just went over there. We didn't have anything prepared, so I think Chuck and I we recited Hey Ma. Yeah. So we had some fun with it, man.
Yeah, I remember when didn't you have like Shavlik Randolph or something from Duke in a video?
Yeah. Shav's around. It's funny you bring him up. I was just thinking about him today. He and I actually totally shared some memories together, so I was thinking about him today. He went over to China and was playing ball in China for a while, so that's a far ways away. So I haven't seen him in a while. But, yeah, there's some Duke connections, even though I'm not a Duke fan.
Do you think that we're done with the reader questions now. Did you watch the NFL draft? Are you happy with the Niners picks?
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, because obviously in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I trust.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm happy there. And, you know, every first round, typically the Niner fan base has like somebody that they really lock in on. And I think this year was a wide receiver. Everybody really wanted a first round wide receiver.
They got him.
Specifically like Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb and all those names were Henry Ruggs. Those guys were really locked in on that because when we traded into 13. So when they selected Kinlaw, you know, it's one of those things where you're just like, because you weren't really hearing that name, but then you just think about what they're doing. It just makes total sense. And then Ayuk at the end of the first round, you're just kind of like, let's go. So I have faith in those boys. Obviously, I'm an enormous supporter of the team, and to be where we are now is pretty special.
Yeah, it's going to be weird to have no baseball season possibly. I mean, I know that's always a big part of my life and a big part of yours.
I mean, I woke up today, literally, and I miss baseball. I pretty much say I miss baseball every day.
It's more like, I try to explain it to people. It's like, just like every day the game is on, you can count on it every day over the summer. You know what I mean?
It's exactly it. And it's so meditative, right? Because it's not this like fast-paced action. And it's just, it's sad. And like, again, the weather starts warming up. It's just it's an energy thing. But, you know, there's bigger things going on. So hopefully we get our baseball season back at some point. But if not, I don't know what's going to happen with football. That might be tough too.
I know. I read somewhere, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk said that we should have unlimited testing by August. I don't know where he got that from, but I hope so, because that's the key to everything is unlimited testing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, people are sending me all different conflicting reports and conspiracy theories and stuff, and it's hard to really know what's going on. But for the most part, yeah, I'm with you on this. On the sports side of things, it's something that kind of gives us a little gravity in all this and allows us to kind of just take our mind off of things. So it's been interesting having sports been removed from a time like now, because typically with stuff like tragedy and, you know, trials and tribulations, we turn to sports to kind of help us through it. Yeah.
All right, man, I'll let you get back to your vacation. I appreciate you jumping on. Love the record. Flowers on the Weekend. Go check it out. It's a banger. I appreciate
it, man. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. And if you get any news on timeline as far as when sports are coming back, you know, keep me posted.
I got you. Later.
All right, bud. Peace.